screen. Beautiful. All right. So, guys, you are tuned in for Activating Your Purpose from Ideas to Execution. I want you to be active. Get social with me, okay? If you hear something during the webinar that you're like, oh my gosh, I got to tweet that, I got to post that, you are more than welcome to do that and use the hashtag Activating Purpose, which is at the bottom of your screen, okay? To follow me personally on Instagram and tag and stay connected beyond this webinar. My Instagram handle is Melissa D. White. My full name is pretty easy. And on Twitter, I am in the Twitterverse. I tweet like crazy. And so you can follow me for some really good stuff at I am Melissa D. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why these pictures are so significant, okay? Again, my name is Melissa D. White, international speaker, all that other good stuff I told you. And to be quite honest with you, I never set out to be those things in my life. Like, it wasn't like I went to a vision board party like some of us do, and I said to myself, girl, I'm gonna put this on my vision board, and I'm gonna be a life coach this year. I'm going to be a radio host this year. That is not what happened. And I'm going to be honest with you. We are now on the eve of August. So we're going into 8, the perfect complete month of the year, if you know numbers in their meetings. And back in December, I literally was at a vision board party with some friends. These things were not on my board. Well, at least I'll say 2 out of the 4 things were not on my board. I'll be honest about that. And so the pictures that are on here really signify the journey of my life. And the way I can put it to you is this. 3 years ago, I was living with my mom. I was really confused about what the next thing was in my life. And the reality was, on social media, everything looked fabulous for me. But I really wasn't. Of course, no one just says I'm depressed or I'm having a problem finishing something I started. No one ever just really candidly says that stuff. So I'm going to give you all of that behind the scenes of what happened. But what happened was that I found my purpose. I can't even say I found it. If you've seen the promotional, messages for this webinar, and if you saw, it's a quote I say all the time, purpose isn't something you find. It's something that's in you already. You're born with purpose. And you hear people say that, but I've experienced it and I just recently lived it, simply because you know when you're living outside of your purpose, when you're living an unfulfilled, broken life. So guys, what I'm telling you is, before I ever became these things, I was broken, okay? So Righting Our Wrongs is my nonprofit organization, and Righting Our Wrongs basically saved my life and gave me purpose. And so if you're on this, we're talking about ideas to execution. What people don't know when they see my nonprofit organization thriving within its first year, will be 1 year old in August. Guys, the reality is, Righting Our Wrongs was an idea that I got back in 2014, but I didn't think it was big enough. I put down the best idea of my life for 2 years because I didn't think it was big enough. Therefore, I didn't think other people would think it was big enough. And I'm going to tell you what clicked, what happened in my soul that made me move and finally take action to do it. And then there's the activation hour. The activation hour was born, to be honest with you, in February of this year alone. And the crazy part is, I almost didn't do it. And I can just imagine, Shay is on the line right now. And Shay was there when this journey began. She's probably laughing because I literally was not going to do the activation hour. The activation hour is not just my radio show. It's a lifestyle brand. The activation hour is this time I'm spending with you. And if this is your first time hearing about it, what the activation hour means is that time in your life when you go from the old to the new, and you'll never be the same again. Well, the truth is, after Righting Our Wrongs, my life was never the same. And I'm going to share that with you today. What you see in that top picture was an opportunity given to me by a good friend of mine who owned a boutique. I didn't realize that showing up to model this curvy collection for her would give me a boost of confidence that I didn't know existed. See, guys, I want to tell you something. People see that picture, but what they don't know is that I truly felt insecure in that moment, because I was modeling a curvy collection and I was the only curvy girl there on set. There were other beautiful models who were there. First of all, I'm not a model by trade. Like I did not, do runway classes or any of that. And that's what she wanted. She said, Melissa, I want the everyday girl who's going to wear my clothes the way she rocks them and to be relatable. And I did just that. So my point in that top picture is to just show up. And we're going to talk about that. Even when you don't feel qualified enough to do something, just simply showing up will bring out something in you and open doors to other opportunities. Now, that middle picture at 108 Praise Radio, that's my radio station family. And guys, truth is, I was connected to 108 Praise Radio back in 2015, had no idea that they would be connected to my destiny by not only being a radio show host, but having a radio show which premiered in my first month, 912,000 subscribers in 1 month. Beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't wake up and say, I want to get close to 1 million people listening to my show. No, I didn't. I just knew I was called and I had a message. That's what purpose means, okay? And then the last picture here on the far right with the pink dress. I love that picture because, to be honest with you, that was my first time speaking to an assembly of high school students at Coretta Scott King High School. And I was terrified because although I'm an international speaker, I speak at conferences with thousands of adults who are my peers in sales and marketing. But you give me an auditorium full of middle school and high school kids, I was sweating bullets. What you also don't know about that picture is that my presentation slide wouldn't work. I left my script for my speech at home. And my friend and assistant who was with me that day, she said, Melissa, speak from your heart. And on that day, that's when Atlanta Public School System wrote an article on me. The students ran up and said, man, I thank you so much. You made me feel like I can believe. And one girl even said, wow, I was scared to wear my natural hair, but you just gave me confidence. So how powerful is that? Even when everything seemed to go wrong that morning, it was still one of the most dynamic days of my life. Now, I wanted to give you some background so you understood what even qualified me to tell you about what, activating purpose. So a couple of other things, like I said, you don't have to turn off your phone because I can't hear you guys, but I will say remove distractions. I'm in my home, but I close the door. I set myself in an atmosphere where I can give you my undivided attention. So definitely you want to get all of this information. It's going to be fast paced and I don't want you to miss anything. Now, what I'm going to show you is how is actually an e-guide. So just for you being on this webinar today, there's a couple of free tools I'm only giving to you guys who are tuned in listening to me right now. So again, tell me in the chat. I want to hear from you. Tell me some projects or ideas you started with or didn't finish. Because I'm going to be honest, don't be scared. I need to know the truth. The only way we can get activated here, that's a part of activation, is being honest. Telling yourself the things that you're even scared to admit. So tell me in the chat, what's a project that you wanted to finish and you couldn't? I'll give you a second and I see a few messages rolling in here. I see you guys typing. I see Fashion and Fitness has her hands up like hallelujah. All right. So I see a few comments here. I actually just got one message that said I wanted to actually start a makeup line and didn't have the resources. That's really good. I can tell you one thing. I told you I didn't start the Righting Our Wrongs until like 2 years after it was even an idea. So yeah, let me know in the chat what some things that you wanted to start, but you put down your project and didn't finish it. Now, also tell me in the chat, do you know your purpose and are you living it daily? Honestly, purpose is, you hear that word thrown around so much, but I'm gonna be honest, people don't truly understand what that means until you're in the throes of it. For me, living my purpose meant being whole and complete. The reason I couldn't finish my ideas, honestly, was because they weren't connected to my purpose. They didn't have a deeper meaning, so I didn't have any incentive to hold on to them for my life, So that's a major thing. I have another comment that came in, says, Oh, fully operating in fashion and wardrobe styling. That is good. And that one came from fashion and fitness, and I know that is truly her purpose. We've talked about that before. So hold on to that purpose. I'm going to tell you in just a moment how you're going to use that. Now, I want to know, just be honest for a second, be really introspective. What's stopping you? Is it fear? Is it money? Is it family members? Is it time? Sometimes, like, honestly, when I got ready to start the activation hour, I had already been in the throes of doing Righting Our Wrongs. I was doing workshops around, 2 or 3 times a week with kids. What y'all don't know is that in my corporate job, I travel 80% of the time. So I'm on airplanes, writing my curriculum for the kids for Righting Our Wrongs. And then the crazy purpose idea for the activation hour came about. And so literally this year, I've been juggling all of those things. And what almost stopped me was time. I didn't think I had the time to do it. But it's crazy how when you love something enough, you find the time. Now, if any of this sounds like you, hang on. It's about to get good. I want you to be able to implement your ideas and not put them down. And this is how you're going to do it. If you've tried to do it by yourself, I'm here, and that's why you've joined this group. I'm here to be an accountability coach to you because I don't want you to ever put anything down again. There is nothing like the feeling of a completed project that has your stamp on it. Now, if you wish that you could just finish all of your wonderful ideas, how do you think your life will be different? I want you to think about that for a second. Wow, I also just had someone chime in and say, chatter from others and working in God's timing. I love that, chatter from others. I'm going to be real candid with y'all. I almost didn't do the activation hour. And if you're a friend of the show and you've listened to the activation hour radio show, the closest person in the world to me, a relative, told me, don't do the show. And they told me to not do the show back in February because of time and finances. They said, well, you're already putting so much into Righting Our Wrongs. How in the world are you going to find the time to do that? And I literally put it down because of what they said. I trusted and valued their input that much. And it wasn't until one of my very first guests on the activation hour, who I met back when I had the idea, she called me one day. She said, hey, when is the first day for your show? I want to come be on your show. And I was like, oh, shoot, I guess I better hurry up and create a show because there are people that want to come on my show. So it pushed me to create a product to meet her need. Her need was that she wanted a platform and to connect to someone that could activate her life. A place, she needed a safe place to tell her story of breaking free from depression, of how she started her nonprofit and how she's saving and changing lives. Now imagine if I didn't do the activation hour, how many people, 912,000 people to be exact, within my first month, and I hit close to 1 million every month. That many people would not be changed or moved by hearing the messages of the activation hour. It blows my mind every time I think about it. So I want to ask you, how does the fear, the lack of money, and the opinions of other people serve you? It doesn't. So let's conquer that. This is what you're about to learn today. Get your pen and paper ready because it's going to be fast. And I will send you the recorded webinar when we're done today. So don't get scared about missing anything. I'll make sure you get a recap, okay? Step 1, we're going to learn how your ideas and your purpose are connected. They're not mutually exclusive. And this is where people go wrong. People get a great idea and they think that, it's just some random thing. Ideas are not random. God allows them for a reason. They're literally a litmus test. Sometimes I think they're breadcrumbs that lead you to the purpose that's already in you, okay? Even if you think they're crazy. Like Righting Our Wrongs, I'm not an educator. I usually don't work in youth groups. I mentored with kids. I would volunteer for youth types of events like back to school events and things like that. I had no idea that literally I was about to birth my purpose through serving kids. Guys, your ideas and your purpose are connected. They're not mutually exclusive. Now, the other thing you're going to learn is how knowing your purpose brings meaning to your ideas. So that idea that you thought was insignificant, if you know who you are, then the idea makes more sense. Let me explain that to you. If I knew that I myself, if I remembered, if I think back to 8th grade, the first time my mom put me in Toastmasters, I told you I'm going like way back in my life, giving y'all examples. I didn't realize that that seed of my mom putting me in public speaking classes and in Toastmasters in 8th grade would plant a seed where I would be writing curriculums to teach other kids how to speak. Okay? So it wasn't until, and I'll tell you about this moment in my life in 2015, it wasn't until I knew who I was that my idea made sense. When I understood that I'm called to teach and to lead kids, then it made sense for me to go back and pick up the idea of righting our wrongs. The other thing you'll learn is knowing who you are determines what you do. Now, yeah, I think there'll be a lot less crazy ideas in the world if people knew who they are. I'll give you a prime example. I'm a believer. So if I'm a believer of Christ, and I am going to refer to God because I serve God, and then he is a big part of everything that's happened in what I'm giving you today. So if you believe God and you know who you are, you govern your life different. There are just some things you won't do anymore because you understand who you are. There are some people you can't entertain anymore because they do not fit who you are, nor do they serve where you are in your life. Do you love them any less? No. You just understand where you're called to be. And the last thing I want to make sure you get before we end today's call is how purpose makes execution easy. Guys, well, I remember I was talking to a good friend of mine who's my graphic designer, and I've gone to him. I've had several businesses in my life. I've had several ideas, and he's done work for me on all levels. But when I went to him for Righting Our Wrongs in the Activation Hour, he said to me, and I've known this man for years, he said, Melissa, you have effortlessly executed this in a way I've never seen you do anything else before. And I said, you know why? Because it's not about me, it's about other people. Because your purpose is easy when it's not tied to something personally benefiting you. It's about the lives of other people. So when the ideas are connected to the welfare and the benefit of others, you're more likely to not put it down. If it's self-serving, then that means you're accountable to yourself. If it's serving others, that means you're accountable to them. You see where I'm going with that? When you are accountable to other people, that means you have a divine reason and a responsibility to finish. Ooh, it just got good. Now listen, before we dig in, I want to share my personal story. I told you I'm gonna go back and tell you what happened. Something clicked in my life that made this stuff come about. I don't want to adult today. Have y'all seen this meme or this, floating around out there? Listen, 3 years ago, I packed up my house in a matter of like 5 days and I got the heck out of here. I was so just frustrated and tired of feeling like I was failing. And things were just falling apart in my personal life. And even though in my career, everyone thought, oh, wow, you must be living a great life, because I was traveling all over the country. I was speaking, I was training. But the reality was I was very broken and unhappy on the inside. I had a bad relationship and it led to another bad relationship. And I just didn't know what to do anymore. And my mom's house felt like a safe place for me to get it together mentally and emotionally. So I went home and she totally welcomed me to do that. It not only allowed a place for me to figure it out, but also time to set aside finances for what now has been my purpose businesses, and gave me the time to collect seed money. Someone said, hi, I love that meme. I do too, because I promise I've had days where I just don't want to do it. I don't want to adult today. I just can't. I'm going to stay in bed. I'm not going to adult today. So maybe you can relate to some of these things. I was diagnosed with depression back in 2015, and I was diagnosed with anxiety, honestly, my senior year in college. Now, What does depression and anxiety look like? Me. Oftentimes people are walking around, I've heard it said before, like, who checks on the strong ones? I was always the one in my circle people would come to, when they had problems or to vent about what's going on in their life, or for prayer. I'm everybody's prayer partner, and them not knowing I was literally broken and depressed, like to the point where my doctor prescribed medication just to regulate my emotions. That's a very dark place to be. There was a lot of self-doubt, and I suffered from people pleasing. I would panic. I would literally just fold on the inside at the idea of letting someone down that I cared about. And I had a significant amount of guilt about the book I didn't finish, that relationship that failed, and what did I do? What did I do wrong? I had a significant amount of guilt about my financial failures, bad money decisions I made in my 20s that I paid for in my 30s. And I had to admit I needed help. Admitting it is a sign of strength and understanding. Guys, I'm really going to be candid with you. On October of 2015, I just didn't even want to be here anymore. And not so much from a level of suicide, but just I was so sick of crying. I would cry like at the drop of a hat, and I didn't sleep. I remember at this point, this was October of 2015, I stayed in my bed for 3 days. I stayed in my pajamas for 3 days. And finally, my grandmother just knocked on my door, and we got on our knees together and prayed. And I said, I cannot function like this anymore. So it's okay if you're not okay. And it really being able to say that out loud to a family member or to someone who I could trust saved my life. Because on that day, I really wanted more prescriptions just to not feel anything. And I was saved from that. Now, it all goes back to all the things I thought I failed at. I really thought I failed at a bad relationship. I was like, how did I pick the wrong person again? I thought I was failing, in my finances. I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am starting over again. And so I just felt like I was incomplete. All these great things I wanted to do weren't complete. And it was like my career was the one thing I thought was the area I was winning. So I held on to it. It became my identity. So the one place where I thought I was succeeding was the only thing I would identify myself with. That's all I posted about. That's all I showed people, was that part of my life, because that's what looked good. And so it's with that, is that an incomplete idea leads to feelings of failure and guilt. I carry guilt like a suitcase, like it was a Louis Vuitton bag. I carried that guilt around and nobody would have known because I didn't open up about it. And that it really was the precursor to my depression. Now, not knowing who you are and your purpose. Look, let me tell you about not knowing who you are. I've said this many a times before in many of my lectures and training or what have you, in personal coaching sessions with my clients. If you don't know who you are, this is a good thing to take notes or hashtag. Not knowing who you are will have you picking up the wrong stuff. Not knowing who you are will have you picking up the wrong stuff. See, imagine that God's got just this whole storehouse full of stuff, and there's all these bags of treasures that he has set aside just for us. And they have names on them. They have titles on them. They have labels that he has divinely placed on us for our lives called purpose. And if you think that your purpose is to, work in your job and be your best, that's fine. But really what you're called to be is, a fashion designer or, host your own show or write a book, and that's what's on your stuff, you won't pick up the right thing because you don't know who you are. So knowing who you are will have you invest in the right things and pick up the right things, okay? So I want you to evaluate during the webinar, after the webinar today, are you carrying the right stuff for who you are? Now, uncertainty about your purpose causes you to doubt your ideas. Listen, if you feel a considerable amount of doubt, you need to go back and assess, is this who I am? Is this connected divinely to who I am? I had a client who said to me, and you'll see her testimonial in a moment. She said, you know what? I've been calling myself, and this person is a life coach. She said, I knew this was my purpose, but I didn't understand how it fit into how I'm going to help other people. So she doubted herself. She felt like it wasn't helping people, so she didn't continue to do it. It wasn't until she started to really get on a one-on-one level that not only did her purpose of being a coach bring her joy, it helped others, and now she's making money from it. And I'm going to share that with you in a minute. So back to my story, I was telling you a little bit about my journey. The reality is you have to trust the process. That day in October 2015, when my grandmother and I laid on the floor and prayed, she sat with me as I called a counselor, and I got into like Christian coaching. My counselor referred me to a coach, and there's a difference. You need to identify the type of help that you need to execute your ideas. Sometimes you need someone to help you sort it all out because it's just jumbled up in your head. And so that was the best decision I could have ever made. I started doing like daily counseling sessions. We would get on the phone daily for 30 days and then once a week for 90 days after that. And then once I got really clear that I'm called to, you know, to ministry, to media, to serve youth, once I got clear about those things by doing the work, then I was able to come up with a plan. Let me help you out. When I say do the work, that means that through coaching and counseling, I had to go back to what my spiritual counselor told me was go back to the scene of the crime. Go back to the areas in your life when you feel like you failed and that others failed you, and you assess what part did I have in this, and that helps you to not repeat those same things. And I had to vividly own the areas of the bad relationships I chose. I had to candidly take acceptance for the bad financial decisions I made. I had to assess who Melissa is. I had to deal with myself. And I'm going to be real with y'all. So that was October of 2015. I struggled for 3 months because now that I know who I am, I couldn't remain the same person anymore. I had to die to myself. And we're going to dig into that in a moment. Now, when I trusted the process, I told you a minute ago I struggled. I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't an immediate thing. Through coaching and counseling, I can tell you the first 90 days, I cried. I could have had stock and Kleenex tissue. I cried because I had to purge out some old stuff. Okay. I had to do some work, but the whole time I did this, I journaled. So the information I'm giving you comes directly from my journals. I journaled every single day about my journey. I even video recorded some of it just to remember that moment. And I'm glad I did, because I'll go back now like, wow, my life is brand new. And there's some of you on the line know me personally, and you've prayed with me and we've shared these stories. There was even a time when I had to die to myself. We hear that, especially if you go to church, they say, you're made a new creature and all that, but that's literally true. Your ideas you have right now are precursors to who you're supposed to be. And I promise the reason you are not living that right now is because you didn't finish it. So the new life you're called to is on the other side of finishing it. I'll say that again. The new life that you're called to live on purpose is on the other side of finishing. Okay? The moment, I'll never forget the fact that I didn't give up on counseling. There were plenty of times I wanted to quit. I wanted to block her number. I didn't want to be accountable to nobody. I'm like, I'm just going to do me. I just want to be normal. I got totally rebellious towards the end. I was like, I just want to be normal. And then I realized that's not who I'm called to be. Because I knew who I am, I couldn't play small. I couldn't do it. There comes a place when you know your purpose, you can't shrink back anymore. It's like no turning back. You know too much. When God unveils that to you, who you are, you can never, ever go back to being the same. And because of that, my life has been more disciplined. I became whole in every area of my life. See, because I got up and I was accountable to a coach every day, that made me look at my life every day. That made me check my account every day and watch my spending. it made me want to see Righting Our Wrongs finished because it wasn't about me. I was accountable to a group of kids. I wasn't about to have that on my mind that I let down schools and teachers and parents by not showing up. I had to finish. My money and ideas began to flow. Let me tell you why they flowed. Because I believed in who I am. I knew who I was. I put down the stuff that wasn't mine anymore, and I picked up the things that resonated with my life. My circle changed, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it hurt at first. And I realized it's not because of any love loss, but it's because I'm called to go to a place where they just won't get it. And you will have decisions to make. They will love you, but they can't have access to you. I'll say that again. There will be people that love you and you love them, but they cannot have access to you right now. Okay? That's simply because you have to be clear and you have to be ready to do the work. And I guarantee you, when you start executing ideas, you won't have much time for all of those other things until you're established, just being honest. And you will finish. The most rewarding thing was when I finished counseling and then I started to, see things finish. I started, I got my Secretary of State and my EIN for Righting Our Wrongs. The day that my 501c3 came in the mail, I celebrated. Why? Because I finished. The day that I did my very first radio show on the Activation Hour, I cried like a baby. Why? Because I finally finished. The number one thing in my life I wanted to do was finish. So now I've become an expert in finishing. That is what the Activation Hour is about. Here's a testimony if you don't believe me. Guys, let me tell you something. I had a friend say to me about a month ago, she's like, man, you've just been so busy lately. I said, yeah, I know. She said, well, I guess it's a good thing because you asked for this. I said, wait, let me stop you. I didn't ask to be a radio show host. I didn't pray to God to have a nonprofit organization. I didn't pray to have, millions of subscribers and people listening to me. But what I did do was say, God, give me the life you want me to have. That's what I did. And so then because I got in position, the ideas made sense. I was able to move and maneuver and to be in a place where my wildest dreams, you could not have told me a year ago, July and August of last year, that I would be in this place. And Stephanie Wallace has been on this journey with me. Stephanie is actually one of my coaching clients, and I'm so proud of the work that she's done. And to be honest with you, her business is dynamic. As the Advantage Coach, she's a certified life and academic coach to student athletes. And in her time working with me, she said she's truly been activated. She said, I had to admit to myself that as a coach, I needed a coach. Now listen, some of you are more than qualified to help other people, but who's holding you accountable? Who's out there helping you? And Stephanie said, hey, you know what? I'm living it, I'm doing it, but I'm not making the money. She believed in her dream so much that she took the leap to quit her job and to give it all that it deserved. And so she said, I need a strategy for income. And she said, there's value in having someone to bounce your ideas off of and having the accountability. Each one of my clients have told me, Melissa, thank you for pushing me. Guys, it's no different. Me being your coach is no different than a trainer at the gym. I jokingly tell my attendees in my workshops, my training classes, like, look, I am your, gym boot camp, 5 a.m. in the morning, knock that breakfast sandwich out of your hand kind of trainer, only because I believe you came for a reason. You got on the webinar today for a reason. You want to be accountable and to finish this time. So thank you, Stephanie, for being your best. Oh, and this is what I didn't share with you. In just our second session, Stephanie was able to clearly identify her brand. She was able to come up with a list of 20 new clients for her, 20. A list she had never even thought to ask these people, and they were willing to commit to her business. And on top of that, and within our second session, honestly, we discovered 5 income streams just from her purpose. That's it. All by peeling back the layers and being willing to be accountable. Now, imagine if you could have that same feeling that Stephanie and I have. If you know who you are, You know why you are called to do what you're doing. And I want to help you with the how part, okay? So this is where we're going to start. Step 1. Today, I want you to make a decision to die to your old life. I told you, I had to do the work. I'm not a counselor, but what I am is a certified life coach. And I can tell you, not only did I grieve my old self, but I've buried her and I've risen brand new. What does that mean? I no longer, make decisions that, compromise other people. I no longer pick up things that don't serve me. I've become more confident and comfortable being by myself because I'm certain about who I am. And I realize it's not about me anymore. That's what it means. The old me was selfish. The old me put my needs first. And when you die to yourself, putting others first will be at the core of your business and every idea and decision you make after today. Do it afraid. This is my favorite one. If any of you are on here, if you hear me now, just type in do it afraid. I want to just hear a collective shout on my chat board here. Do it afraid. Guys, it's not just a t-shirt. It's not just my slogan. It's not just what I said on the show, but I live by this. I'm going to tell you how this came about. Do it afraid came about because my pastor's mother said to me when I was scared to do righting our wrongs, she said, when God gives you an idea, you're accountable to him. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, listen, you only get a short window of time to do it. And if you don't do it, he'll give it to somebody else. Problem is, you're still accountable. Guys, that's no different than if you have a sibling, a brother or sister, and your mama tells you to do a chore and you don't do it, and your brother or sister have to do the dishes and take out the trash, you still gonna get your whooping, right? So you got to do it afraid. You are still accountable whether you do it or not. And that has pushed me every single day that even though I was afraid to do it, I did it anyway. People talk about being fearless when the reality is, fear does exist. And I just use fear differently now. The new Melissa uses fear as fuel to push me to finish my ideas now. I'm more afraid of not finishing than afraid of not being accountable to myself. Do it afraid. I love it. I love it. I'm just seeing a roll in. Do it afraid. Do it afraid. I love it. So I want you guys to really blow up my chat messages here. I want to hear from you. What's your activation moment? What's something that stuck out to you in today's webinar that just really changed your mindset? And I also want you to tell yourself, if you're taking notes, I will finish this time. I have the utmost confidence in you. You will finish today things that you've started, and I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to be at the finish line with you. Okay. Also, if you feel like this is kind of helping you come together and make sense of everything that you've had ideas for, everything you wanted to do, just type in the comments, me. Like, I want you to just kind of shout it out on the comments, me. This is me. You are preaching. You are speaking to me. I want to hear from you. Die to self. I love it. Someone said I die to self. Yeah. Let me tell you how powerful that is. I'm a dreamer. My dreams mean they're very significant to me. There's nothing, minute or insignificant about my dreams. And so I recently gave notice for my corporate job. That's just how much my life has changed. And I have to have the time and freedom to move and to be available. That's what qualifies me to be here on the phone with you today. I've put to test everything in my life that I wanted, and it's now paying me to be that. I've now created streams of income, 7 streams of income in my life by doing what I love. And the night after I gave my resignation on my job, I had a dream. I was in a church and I was looking down at a casket, a coffin, and in there was my old self. Deep, right? And the average person probably be freaked out by that. But the old me, and for those of you who know me personally, or even if you just look at me on my social media timeline, my hair is different. My whole physical appearance is different. And in that old season, I looked like that in the coffin, like old Melissa with big hair, and I just looked different. And the old me had a peaceful smile and look. And I said goodbye to my old self in a dream. I was on an airplane. I was flying to North Dakota, and I had this dream on a plane. And I woke up and I said, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for newness. Thank you for activating me. Thank you for positioning me. I felt at peace. I literally felt at peace from walking away from my high-paying job and nationally traveling for others to do it for myself. There's no better feeling. And guys, this is what's changed my life in the last year, not even 2 years, from July 31st of 2016 to now July 31st today. So it's no accident that I had this webinar today. This is the anniversary of my activation, and I wanted to share it with each one of you. So if you're still taking notes and you're with me, the last step I want to share is, if it scares you, do it again. I have this journal, this notebook that says, if it makes you afraid, it's probably a good thing to try. And if you know me, I can be a little bit daring. You know, I won't say I'm a super daredevil. I haven't jumped out of a plane yet, but just wait for it. It's coming. But if it scares you, do it again. What I mean by that is, if the more you do things that scare you, the more it builds your confidence. The more you do things that scare you, the more it builds your confidence. Guys, fear does not serve you. Fear does not pay you. Fear does not protect you. Fear keeps you slaved and hostage to your old self. And I see the comments coming in there. Yeah, that was your activation moment. Time to take off. Time to leave. Time to launch. That was your old self. Somebody said, me. I love it, love it, love it. You guys are on fire in my chat messages here. But I want to give you a quick recap. Remember the first one, die to self. The second thing you need to do to execute and finish your ideas is to do it afraid. Fear does not serve you. And if you don't finish that idea and you know it's connected to your purpose, you're still going to be accountable. And the last thing, just remember that if it scares you, do it again. It scared me to do Righting Our Wrongs. It scared me to start my radio show. And guys, it scared me to do this webinar because I knew I was going to be telling you the open, raw truth about my life, because there's nothing in this world anybody can ever hold against me, because I'm free. I'm free to move, live, breathe, and even get up when I want, go to bed when I want. But my purpose is so great that I just don't want to put it down. So guys, those are the things I want to make sure you take away from today's webinar. Now, I'm just going to quickly recap and share some things with you. If this session was so good that you want more information, if you want to learn how to create multiple income from your purpose, I want you to stay connected with me. I will personally show you how I created 7 streams of income in 1 year, less than a year, from my businesses. I will show you how I've done that for my other clients. I want you to also know, how do you do it with not a lot of startup money? It's not like I had an arsenal of money or just bags laying around. Wasn't like that at all. I found ways to use capital from one idea to fund and finance another, and to put everything that is connected to my purpose into a system. So I told you I journaled about my whole process, right? My journals went back and gave me a system on how to coach other people how to do this. Now, did I set out to be a life coach? No. To be honest with you, I didn't even want to be a life coach because I felt like everybody and their mama was trying to call themselves a coach. But what I learned, my pastor and a good friend told me, Melissa, you're already coaching people for free. People already call you. So I want you to think about, what are the things people call you for advice for? And you help them come up with a whole plan of how to get out of their mess. You just coached them. I want you to think about, what are the things that people inbox you for or message you for because you're talented at? You just gave them your gift for free. And what I did was I went and got certified to give people the coaching that I already did in my professional life. I spent 14 years in corporate America climbing the ladder to the top of my industry as an executive in sales and marketing, realizing my corporate gifts were set aside to activate my purpose. I want to show you how to make money doing just that. Why you don't need validation. Guys, people pleasing was the one thing holding me back. I wanted to please my mama. I wanted to please my grandmama. I wanted to please my brother, my daddy, the cat, the dog. Doesn't matter. People pleasing will not serve you, and I'm going to teach you how to overcome that. Now, you're here today because that resonated with you. You're here because you want purpose without giving up your freedom. You need freedom. Guys, I quit my job because I needed time freedom. I was getting calls for speaking engagements and bookings that I could make. Why? Because I was going to work for someone else. So I had a decision to make. Do I want to continue to work for them, or do I want to free up my life so that I can serve my purpose? You have to make a decision for freedom. Also, you're here today because you want a simple solution. You probably haven't executed your idea because you just don't know the solution to get it done. You hit a roadblock somewhere and it got too hard and you put it down. We're going to finish it today. You're also here because you felt like you've put down your purpose and ideas before and you just can't do it anymore. You may be at a place, maybe not as deep, but somewhere in the realm of feeling guilty because you keep stopping. Or what about that perfection thing? I posted about this on social media the other day. Perfection is the enemy of completion. I'm a perfectionist. You know how many ideas? I didn't release books. I didn't do training classes. Heck, almost didn't do this webinar because my slides weren't working the way I wanted them to. But if you allow perfectionism to hold you back, you will never finish. And you're here today to conquer all of these things. It's your time right now. It's your time to activate your purpose, and I'm going to give you a system to do that. Everything I shared with you, nothing is a theory, nothing of it is an idea. I have proven it. I have clients who can tell you right now that I've proven it within 4 sessions or less how to become activated in purpose and maximize income while doing it, guys. Now, I'm not, some guru on stage. I'm not Tony Robbins, or Bishop Jakes. I'm not any of those people. I'm just Melissa. I'm Melissa D. That's it. What I'm doing is no magic secret or magic sauce. I just know how to package what I'm doing so that I can live and have my purpose at the same time. You can have those same things. Oh, I love it. Seeing Squeaky said, never again will I stop. No, after today, you will never stop. I claim today you have the finisher's anointing. Everybody on this line, listen to my voice. You will finish. Please say that to yourself and get it down in your spirit. You will finish. I want to introduce to you a package that I've put together to help other people. I can't keep this to myself. People are looking, I get at least 3 or 4 messages a day with people asking, Melissa, did you quit your job? How in the world, where did you get a radio show from? How did you start a nonprofit? Like, people are so shocked and confused because I'm telling you, I was a corporate chick. I was fine making my money and getting my salary every 2 weeks and flying all over the country. Doesn't sound like a bad life, but I wasn't happy. Honestly. I was homesick. The last few months before I gave my notice, I cried. Every time I went to the airport. I know I was checking in saying, hey, y'all, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. I was sad because I felt like I wasn't where I'm supposed to be. So I want to coach you. I want to see you live the life I'm living today. What you'll get, and honestly, guys, is, like I said, you can go, there are coaches out there that charge thousands of dollars. I'm not looking to do that. I really just want to help you. And so what I'm offering just for the people on this line right now, I want to offer you 4 1-hour live coaching sessions, 4 sessions. Those can be, some of you are here with me in Atlanta, some of you are remote, and that's okay. We will do a live, not recorded, live session. I'm also going to offer you, I am releasing today. I haven't even opened this up to the public. It's not on my website. It is not on social media, but Activating Purpose e-guide. It will include not only the slides from this webinar, but I've put together planners and lists just to help guide you from the idea to the execution of your purpose. Also, an income map. My clients who work with me, they walk away with a full map of what to charge, how to put their ideas in motion, and how to market them. And they are getting paid because of their purpose. Guys, usually 4 hours, and I have my clients are paying $9.99 right now, and we could spread that out over either once a week or bi-weekly, whatever your time allows. I'm not just doing a 60% discount, and dropping everything. I'm literally, forget $3.99, $149. After today, after this webinar, tomorrow on August the 1st, everyone else is going to get this offer for $149. I am offering this to you for $99. And some of y'all just spent that this weekend on shoes and eating at Papa Do's. I'm just saying. But no, seriously, it's an investment. I pay way more than this for my life coach. I pay way more than this for my counseling sessions. I'm offering this for $99 simply to really cover materials and all of the information I'm going to give to you. And so if you're interested, there is a bonus. Even if, whether you sign up today or not, I'm going to send a special gift to you. I want you to text me at 470-251-2571. And I'm going to personally send you a Monogram Inscribed Activation Hour journal just for your time today, okay? Text me. Again, you're going to send a message. So if you want to register for my coaching sessions for $99 only during this webinar, tonight at 12 midnight, going into August 1st, the price is going up to $149. But for today, it's going to be $99. Text me right now at 470-251-2571 so you can get activated. Guys, you are phenomenally awesome. You may have some questions, and so I'm going to go back to my chat feature right now, answer any questions. Yes, I will be sending out the webinar links. I've had several people say, hey, are you sending out the webinar? So yes, I will. Somebody said, yes, thank you. I need that program. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're go ahead and invest in it today so that you can take advantage of the program. I'm still here with you guys. Oh, I see the text messages rolling in. We're 2 minutes before the top of the hour. You are phenomenal for staying on the line with me. Wow. Thank you for the love. I'm getting messages, hashtags. This means so much to me. It means the world to me, and I'm not going to give up on you. Like I said, I want you to get your free journal. If you're on the call and you're still listening to the webinar, please text me. I'm going to put my number here in the chat. This is my personal number. You can get a direct line to me at 470-251-2571. Text me now so that you can get your coaching session. If you want to sign up, just text me and say, sign me up. Or text me and say, send me my journal. And I'll make sure that you get it. Oh, you're more than welcome so much. Fashion and Fitness said, thank you. Awesome information and knowledge. Appreciate your time. You're welcome. Guys, I'm going to close out here. You are phenomenal. I appreciate you. I love you. Stay connected with me, melissadwhite.info. Hashtag follow me. Let's be friends on Instagram, Melissa D. White. And you are now officially activated. Go have a good night. Let's go kick off August with a bang. I will see you on the next webinar, or we will talk soon for your coaching session. Good night, everybody.